Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. As we go to air, the Premier is on his way to Government House, where he will request an early election be called. It follows the passing of a no-confidence motion against him, and with the alternatives all but exhausted, Tasmanian voters are set to return to the polls.
Today was supposed to mark the start of budget estimates, but the state's politicians instead returned to pass 2 emergency supply bills.
The supply bills support the continued delivery of existing services on a same policy basis,
and to ensure staff salaries flow through as Tasmania heads towards a likely early ballot.
This is exactly what we did last year when the last Parliament collapsed on the Premier and he had to call an early election.
This is a least best situation, but it's what has to be done.
Sailing swiftly through the lower house, but a typo saw the government's bill hit a snag in the upper house, delaying the process for hours until after the lunch break. Reconvening, some independents raised concerns about the bills and the situation as a whole.
If there is any inaccuracy, even by way of admission, the lack of detail to support this bill makes it hard to fully understand. It feels like a mess. And it looks like a mess, and it is a mess.
They eventually got the all clear, but the twists and turns didn't stop there. Leaked text messages allegedly made by a Labor staffer appear to shed light on the motives for the party's no-confidence motion against the Premier.
The inner sanctum of Dean Winter clearly laying out their strategy as purely based on self-interest.
Labor was contacted for comment on the matter. The likely final sitting day for this Parliament was also likely to be respected Labor Speaker Michelle O'Byrne's last.
After 28 years of being a candidate for the Labor Party, 6 years as a federal member, 19 years as a state member, that I will not be seeking pre-selection for the next election, whether it be in weeks or months to come.
Reflecting on her long-standing political career.
It is not enough to say that you want minority government or indeed majority government to work. You must be mature enough to make it work.
As the chapter looks set to close on the second shortest term of Parliament in Tasmania's history. Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
So as we're closer to an election being called, the question arises, at what cost? With political turmoil continuing to linger, voters must decide who they can trust to deliver and who's just talking.
Pamphlets, posters and plenty of promises. That's what voters can expect this political campaign, now that the election starter's gun has officially been fired.
There's going to be a lot of pork around and it won't all be on your fork. We'll get a lot of promises, but the promises have to be funded, and we know the budget is in disarray.
Now there's nowhere to hide for either major party, especially when it comes to policies to tackle growing state debt.
What policies do the government have at the moment that would help address the debt?
Well, at the moment they have none.
The problem for Labor is they've been gun shy since the pokies issue. They've been unwilling to get on the front foot and deliver a clear message.
The last election, only 15 months ago, cost taxpayers $5 million.
The Liberals have the problem of seeking a 4th term of government. Labor has to explain why they haven't been able to have a winning message after 3 terms in opposition.
As for the word on the street,
they promise and don't always deliver. Then that's the problem, isn't it?
It's a striking balance between conservatives and being aggressive.
Campaign is kind of irrelevant in Tasmania since everyone knows each other anyway.
With tensions lingering, there are growing calls for a political refresh.
And that all the parties can have a good hard look at what they're doing, why they're doing it, and perhaps reassess things.
And for leadership that looks forward, not back.
They need to focus on the future and not necessarily continue the fights of the past.
Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmania News.
Jeremy Rockliff's attempt to improve stability by calling an early election in March last year certainly hasn't had the desired effect. Today's trip to Government House follows a tumultuous 15 months in Tasmanian politics.
If you feel a sense of déjà vu, we have in fact been here before. February last year, Jeremy Rockliff pulled the trigger 12 months early after losing the support of former Liberals turned independents John Tucker and Lara Alexander. At the time, urging voters not to elect a
Labor, Green, Lambie, Independent coalition of chaos.
Voters, though, had other ideas, declining to give any party a majority with a large swing against the government, forcing deals the diverse crossbench.
It's not an understanding with the Liberal Party, it's with Jeremy Rockliff as Premier.
Labor didn't emerge unscathed, ousting Beck White as opposition leader in favour of Dean Winter.
I feel like I'm the best person to lead the Labor Party.
Instituting a major policy change post-election.
Tasmanian Labor is going to support a stadium.
That stadium and its ballooning cost has been just one thorn in the Premier's side. First, his deal with the 3 Jackie Lambie network members fell on rocky ground before the party fell apart.
We are trying to keep stable government. That's the main thing.
Last year's budget provided a harsh reality check on the large debt burdening our small state.
This is the budget that Tasmania needs in these times.
The Premier's right-hand man would soon be forced to fall on his sword, resigning from Cabinet for his role in the ferry fiasco, which saw 2 new ships ready to sail with nowhere to dock, a problem which has proved a constant source of embarrassment for the government.
The Scottish Government were not keen at all.
The Premier survived 2 previous no-confidence votes, including after shelving long-promised pokey reforms.
We're a heartbeat away from a Labor Green Accord.
A struggling health system has also been a regular source of trouble. But while trying to plug fiscal holes, a bombshell plan to sell government businesses sparked a rift in the already delicate lower house. Last month's budget under new Treasurer Guy Barnett, seemingly the final straw. Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
The political instability continues to cast doubt over the future of the Tasmania Devils. Club chiefs gathered for a meeting with the AFL Commission in Melbourne today, where they were met by a small group of anti-stadium protesters. While questions remain, it's understood the Commission is forging ahead with plans for the 19th licence, with no talk they will halt or delay plans for the team given the current situation. To other news, an urgent search operation is underway at Cradle Mountain, with a Victorian hiker feared missing at the popular wilderness destination. Christopher Michael Inwood is thought to be in the area after his car was located at a ranger's station this morning, and a backpack, which is believed to belong to the 52-year-old, was found in the vicinity of Dove Lake. Authorities hold grave concerns for his safety, with temperatures last night below freezing. Police are appealing for any information regarding the location of a St Helens teenager. 19-year-old Tasmin Watts was last seen at Scamander just before 7 o'clock last night, and his family are concerned for his welfare. He's believed to be driving a light blue Toyota Kluger. Anyone who has seen Tasmin or his vehicle is urged to contact police. Mental health staff have taken to the streets protesting against what they say is a loophole, which means they miss out on the same entitlements as other shift workers. The government maintains a new agreement is on the way, but the health union says it's too little, too late.
A bit of rain wasn't enough to deter mental health workers at the Roy Fagan Centre from voicing their demands.
What do we want? When do we want them? Now!
At the centre of the dispute is the current conditions for ward aides who assist nurses with caring for patients. They say they deserve more than the low shift penalties they're given, and that they don't receive paid meal breaks unlike nursing staff.
We're all very dedicated towards our clients and towards our jobs and each other, and we are wanting to do that to the best of our ability.
The government is using a loophole to try and avoid paying these workers what all other shift workers are provided with because they're doing longer shifts.
After 6 months of negotiations with the Health and Community Services Union, an agreement was reached in April, but a formal offer hasn't been provided.
If all valued, they would have come back to the table by now and given us an agreement to sign off on. They are stalling, unfortunately, and that does hurt.
A state government spokesperson says it's working on getting a new formal agreement ready and that discussions are continuing, but wasn't able to confirm when it would be ready.
This agreement expired over 2 years ago. We've been trying to renegotiate it since then.
And with an election on the horizon, the agreement could be delayed even further. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
The Tasmanian government has failed in its bid to delay key hearings into the controversial Macquarie Point Stadium project, arguing an early election could interfere with the legislative process. But the Commission has decided to proceed as planned, with the hearings expected to begin on June 25. The panel now consolidating more than 800 public submissions into 28 key areas for consideration. For more than 2 decades, Michelle O'Byrne has been a political mainstay, but with another election imminent, the veteran politician has called time. The long-standing and highly respected Labor MP deciding not to recontest her seat. We look back on the highs and lows of her career.
A young Michelle O'Byrne burst into politics in 1998, winning the federal seat of Bass, a position she held on to until 2004 when she was ousted by Michael Ferguson.
And Michelle O'Byrne was readjusting to life outside politics.
We probably did cop a reasonably small hit from the short amount of time we had to sell forestry and the way that John Howard managed to present his particular brand of honesty.
Her political break didn't last long. In 2006, she made her return, switching to state parliament.
I'm really pleased that if I can be part of delivering that third seat, that was certainly always the agenda.
The long-standing MP has remained there ever since, going on to spend 8 years as a senior minister. Her proudest achievements: championing mental health reform, same-sex adoptions and decriminalising abortion.
Michelle O'Byrne chose International Women's Day to announce her plans to change the state's abortion laws.
Her greatest disappointment in herself as health minister during the global financial crisis.
When my request to not be made to slow down elective surgery was denied by the Treasurer of the day, I had a choice. I should have walked. I didn't.
Most recently tasked as the Speaker of the House.
I have absolutely loved it, despite the last few days and how challenging they've been.
She did a marvellous job as an opposition party member, sitting in the chair and serving with distinction as Speaker.
While her time in politics is nearing its end, she promises she's not going to fade into the background.
I will use my voice as a citizen to continue to advocate for change.
Leaving with this.
We, the general voting public, expect much of you. We will be watching. Don't let us down.
Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, let's return to the day's top story now. We're joined by our state political reporter, Anthony Dodd. Anthony, what's the latest on the election?
That's right, Kim. Premier Jeremy Ratcliffe arrived at Government House just a short time ago behind me, where he'll meet with Governor Barbara Baker to advise her to call an early election. Now, the Governor has a few options to consider. The Premier and the Government maintains he still has the support of the party room to be Liberal leader, while Labor leader Dean Winter says he won't form a coalition with the Greens, making an early poll highly likely. It follows a chaotic few days in Parliament last week. The opposition successfully moved a no-confidence motion in Jeremy Ratcliffe, who was seeking an early election over resigning as convention would dictate. But we'll have to wait and see what the Governor decides to do, whether if it's an early election or any other of those other options. We might find out later tonight, if not potentially tomorrow. Kim?
OK, thank you, Anthony. Well, one motorist fed up with the state of the Bass Highway has taken matters into their own hands. This tongue-in-cheek traffic sign appearing on social media set beside the road at Elizabethtown. The section of highway has been under a temporary speed reduction for several months, riddled with potholes and patch jobs. The Department of State Growth says the road base has failed and repairs need to be paid for by the previous contractor. Workers will carry out repairs this week. A permanent fix is expected in spring.
A string of wins has given Penguin confidence ahead of their top-of-the-table encounter with rivals Wynyard, hopeful of reversing the result of their round one clash.
I feel like that's given us an opportunity to really practice Penguin footy and a brand of football that we want to play and put in structures.
Third on the men's ladder, Wynyard is keen to repeat their opening round win as they start staring down the tail end of the season.
We're at a point of a crossroads really with the season, so we've got to really crack in this week.
It follows the NWFL's rep round loss to the SFL during the bye week. It wasn't quite straight back to business for Lucky Saljak winners South Hobart, taking a moment to savour last night's win, albeit a short one with an NPL title still on the line.
We enjoy this one because it's a special competition and it's one that has to be celebrated well. But yeah, we know it's got a short turnaround to Lonnie City on Saturday, another big game, and yeah, we'll have to be ready for that one as well.
They're now waiting to learn who they'll face after winning a ticket into the Australia Cup.
Good evening. Hobart a top of just 12 today, Launceston 14 and Devonport 13. Our stage high was at Burnie and Curry where it reached 15 degrees. Temperatures mostly within a degree or two of average. Flinders Island, Smithton and Ooze all 14, Low Head, St Helens and Friendly Beaches 13, Strawn 12 and Lyre-Weenie a high 5. A few light showers over the south and east with convective cloud producing some 19 millimetres of rain at Triabunna and 17 at Little Swanport. There's also thick low cloud over New South Wales, Victoria and parts of South Australia. A cold front well to the west has cloud over southern WA. Tomorrow a ridge of high pressure moves our way. That cold front and associated low pressure system tracks south of the Bight from the west. South to southeast winds at 5 to 15 knots over most waters, but reaching 20 knots over the east tomorrow. We do have a minor flood warning that's been issued for the St Paul's River. Tomorrow, Hobart, a top of 13 degrees with a shower easing. Possible shower for Geefston, 12 the top. 11 the high for Bothwell after a morning frost. 14 for Launceston, a partly cloudy day. Sunny for Devonport, 14 as well. 1 overnight for Cressy, a top of 13 degrees. Burnie mostly sunny and 14, 13 the high for Strawn, a shower on King Island, Curry expecting 15, and a flip of the coin odds for showers in the east, St Helens 14 along with Swansea, and Orford a high of 13 tomorrow. On to Thursday, and fine and partly cloudy weather on the way, just a possible shower over the northwest. Morning fog and frost on Friday ahead of another mostly fine day, a cold start, Bothwell expecting -6, and on Saturday a few showers over the north and west, a sunny start to the weekend in Swansea and Hobart. Cool and cloudy in Perth tomorrow, 16 and a possible shower for Adelaide, a chilly 14 tomorrow in Melbourne, sunny weather forecast for Sydney and Brisbane, and the dry season taking off in Darwin. A few showers in the area around Hobart, 9 at the moment, 8 degrees in Launceston, partly cloudy and 7 right now in Devonport. Kim, that's the way the weather's panning out for the next couple of days.
Okay, a long time since I've seen that, Ty, if you know what I mean. And that is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us tonight. Good night, everyone.